Greetings, my fellow viewers. This is SteamTeamRedubUK, CC Trainor-Ling, here to bring you another episode review from Season 5 of The Loud House. Today's episode is titled Electshunned. First, we'll discuss the plot, and then my thoughts and critiques with my final score. So, let's get right into it. And in advance, thank you, and God bless the citizens of Royal Woods, Michigan.
Major funding for this review has been brought to you by the First Bank of Lola in association with the OM Gosh campaign.
The episode begins at Royal Woods City Hall, where Leni is working as an intern for Mayor Davis. When the mayor's campaign manager, Vic, arrives to talk about Davis's re-election bid, Leni offers some of her own ideas, which all get shut down. Feeling upset knowing her ideas got elect-shunned, gotta work that title in somehow, Leni launches her own campaign to run for mayor, and to Davis and Vic's surprise, a lot of residents are backing her quirky ideas. Vic begins smearing the mayor's opponent, but Leni refuses to fight dirty. However, she changes her attitude when Davis starts throwing shade on her family during their debate. She sneaks into the mayor's office and finds out Davis shops for merchandise, including her keyboard, outside of Royal Woods. Even though she doesn't want to use any more dirt against the mayor, both sides continue to smear each other on a personal level, and the race begins heating up. On the day of Leni's last rally before the election, her supporters angrily decry Mayor Davis as the worst. Overcome with sadness in how things have spiraled out of control, Leni steps up to defend the mayor by talking about the good things she's done for the city. She takes back all the nasty and untrue things she said about the mayor, and vows to keep true to her original campaign about just having new ideas, whether she wins or not, which in turn sends the crowd away disappointed. In the end, Mayor Davis wins re-election in a close race, and she congratulates Leni on being a formidable opponent. Her first act is implementing Leni's idea of a tax-free shopping day at the mall, and allows her former rival to cut the ceremonial ribbon, much to the annoyance of a now jobless Vic. Well, that concludes the plot of the episode, so now we come to my thoughts and critiques. First off, I'm not going to complain about the one thing so many people like to overthink when it comes to Leni in this episode. Too many people have said, Leni is only 17 and minors can't run for mayor. Here are 5 words for you. Mayor Michael Sessions, Hillsdale, Michigan. Look it up, understand it, and you're welcome. Now that that's out of the way, let's proceed, shall we? Discounting the theme in the Season 4 episode, A Grave Mistake, this is the first legitimate election-style episode of the series, and, not as a surprise to anyone, it involves Mayor Teresa Davis running against one of the main characters, in this case, Leni Loud. To be honest, I'm a little surprised the production staff waited this long to make this kind of episode and using someone like Leni as the one to run against the mayor. I always thought it would be the mom or the dad, maybe even Lori, since, to be fair, she's more of a natural-born leader than her younger sister, but I can see why they chose Leni. If you look at how she stepped up in positions of authority in Leader of the Rack and The Boss maybe, you have to at least give this girl some credit for not hesitating to launch a campaign to secure the highest office in the city. Maybe she thought those past instances were enough for her to think she could run Royal Woods by herself, but I'll get back to that in just a little bit. Once again, this episode illustrates how even if Leni continues to have a few airhead moments and can be a little quirky with whatever ideas she has floating around in her head, it's those very same ideas that got people to take her seriously. That's where Vic, the most generic win-at-all-cost campaign manager you can get, makes a somewhat valid point about Leni not having any political experience. Although we never did hear her stance on economic stimulus. On the one hand, he's not wrong in what he said, but he missed the bigger picture in Leni's campaign. Despite appealing to very basic desires like having better Wi-Fi at the park or keeping stores open later, all of which I don't believe a mayor has any control over, the citizens of Royal Woods actually liked those ideas because they're relatable, and Leni can relate to them on their level because she knows what people like and don't like. Just look at the episode No Spoilers if you need more proof. But speaking of past episodes, Mayor Davis makes a few references about the Loud family, getting kicked out of every public pool in Link or Swim, starting a zombie apocalypse from One Flew Over the Loud House, I think, and having a bad restaurant experience in Cooked. It's always good to have a little consistency. It was at that point the episode truly dove into the cliche elements of any typical election episode. Digging up dirt on someone, running smear campaigns with words being twisted, and then throwing personal insults to one-up the other. Seeing as Lola was Leni's campaign manager, it's not surprising Leni had to tap into her inner brat just to keep momentum going. But sadly, that change in her personality is what caused her to start feeling, in her words, icky. She was crushed when potential voters started turning a Vote for Leni campaign into a Vote Davis Out campaign, with slanders and raging chants against the current mayor, and that's not what Leni wanted to run on. I had to give her major props for silencing the crowd and trying to explain how Mayor Davis isn't as bad as her campaign tried to make her out to be. For her to talk about her opponent's accomplishments in a positive way was a big sign of maturity, and it proved she wasn't going to take the sleazy way to victory. Even Mayor Davis wouldn't have taken that approach. She most likely only started smearing Leni because Vic thought it would be a good idea, and let's be honest, she wanted to win as much as anyone. And speaking of winning, the fact the race was in a virtual tie and how Davis only just won by the skin of her teeth really shows how influential both of these women are, and more importantly, it showed how a lot of people had faith in Leni being a mayor with no fundamental political knowledge. It's the second to last scene where the election results came in that got me wondering. Could this episode have been longer? Absolutely, and it could have worked better if it was. Think about it. The first half could have been dedicated to the bulk of the episode we got, and the first act ends with Leni winning the race. The second half would feature Mayor Leni Loud trying to live up to her campaign promises. But not only can she not fulfill all of her promises, she struggles to work on the bigger and more demanding problems of Royal Woods, thus turning her campaign of gosh, we need to fix this city, and gosh, can you believe the kind of person Mayor Davis is, to gosh, I have no idea what I'm doing. She would come to the realization that being a good leader in a clothing store and as a family babysitter is nowhere near the level of leadership it takes to be the mayor of a city. She would learn the lesson that just because you run on good ideas that satisfy people in the short term, it takes bigger and bolder ideas to satisfy people in the long term. It could have been the ultimate test in Leni's character development when it comes to being more responsible, and the episode would end with her realizing she still has a lot to learn before trying to do something that would clearly leave her in over her head. She also could have dropped out of the race after her disaster of a rally and effectively hand Mayor Davis the victory, even if that would have angered the crowd who was intending to vote for her. Dropping out of the race would have worked good for the episode we were given, while winning the race and resigning as mayor, and then handing leadership back to Teresa, would have worked good for a 20-minute special. Either way, both candidates were good sports about the outcome of the election, and happily reconciled in the end with Vic getting dumped. At least that's one victory we can all share together. Overall, this episode was pretty good for the story it wanted to tell, and I believe they told the story the best they could. Leni may not be the most experienced when it comes to politics, but she really does understand the needs and wants of others, and appealing to those desires is what common people like. It's not just about the razzle-dazzle or the shade-throwing that grabs people's attention. They like the idea of someone they can see themselves in and say, wow, this person really understands me. I like what they're saying, and what they're saying makes sense. I can get behind this person. That's one of the most universal things to think about when it comes to political candidates. Their willingness to understand how voters are feeling about what's going on around them, and I think we can all appreciate that. Leni Loud deserved to win on her merits for the same reason why Teresa Davis deserved to win on her merits. Hey, nobody would have voted for her the first time if they didn't like what she had to say or what she could do for the city. Even if dirty players like Vic and Lola were willing to go low to help their clients win in the usual run-of-the-mill election storylines, both Leni and Teresa learned that playing it clean is what should count the most at the end of the day, and Mayor Davis swore to keep the dirt out of future campaigns. Swearsies! With that said, I give Electshunned a 9 out of 10. Well folks, that concludes my review of Electshunned. Leni may not have won the race, but she took her loss like an adult, and if that's not a sign of her growing up, well, I'm not sure what is. Now, if you'll excuse me, I've got a printer that needs some more toner, and it could maybe use some more lipstick too. So, what did you guys think of it? Love it? Hate it? Something you would add? Change? Keep it as it is? Let me know in the comments below, and make sure to subscribe to this channel for the latest Loud House content. That's going to do it for me. I'll catch you guys for the next video, but until then, this is SteamTeamRedubUK, CC Trainor-Ling, signing off. Peace out, home slasses, and once again, God bless the citizens of Royal Woods, Michigan.